Hey everybody, this is Sheriff Tim Carter, the Shenandoah County Sheriff, and today we have a special guest with us. We have William French. Glad to be here, William, with you, and glad you came in and spending a few minutes of your time. I know it's a busy season for you. William is a candidate for school board in District 5, which is kind of sort of the area there, Maurytown, Tomsbrook, Mount Olive, Lebanon Church, that part of the county.
Yep, basically everything north of Woodstock that's not the town of Strasburg.
Right.
But thanks for having me here. I'm very excited to be here today.
Yeah. So I've known William for, I'm probably closer to his father's age, but I've known you since, it's been a long time. But I guess my question would be, first of all, is what made you interested in running for school board this year?
So I was asked by some friends and family if I would run for school board, which is, I had to give it some thought. It's a weighty decision, and it's the school board the world has become more and more contentious as the year has gone on. But I'm excited to get my message to the voters, to talk to people about what I think is important for educating our kids and improving our school system. And if the good people of Shenandoah County will have me, start and work in January to make our school system better.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, William, a lot of times people, they aren't really paying a lot of attention to the what I would call the smaller local elections or the local races. But in Shenandoah County, we have 3 open school board seats, which is kind of unusual. And I've been telling people as we do these podcasts that you need to get out there and learn a little bit about these candidates and what's important to you, and go out and be active in your local politics, because a lot of the decisions, with regard to what affects people in their lives, are really in the hands of those local people, like boards of supervisors or school board members or the sheriff. And I think a lot of times people, they pay more attention to the larger races, for lack of better words, like the governor's race or the president's race. But a lot of decisions that are impactful in people's lives are in those local races. So
yeah, and I'm a conservative person. I'm a student of history, right? And you read the Federalist Papers, and it's about how do we, is the federal government the important part of our government system, or should we get the power closer to the people? And I think the closer to the people the government is, the closer it is, the better it governs. So I think our local races are incredibly impactful. Our local taxes, 60% of the taxes the people in Shenandoah County pay go to our school system, right? And I think it's great. I think it's great that we know the people in the school board, we know the board of supervisors, and are able to talk to them about the things that are important to us. Like when the dump is open, so I can take my trash and things like that. That's all. That's something that affects me all the time, and that's affected right here in Woodstock at the county office building.
Right, and I tell you, from a perspective of a local official, for myself, you can't get away from it. I mean, you see people at church, or you see people at the fair, or you see people at when you're eating, you're there, and you basically see the people that are, I can't think of another word to say, but they're your boss. I mean, the public is who you work for. So you can't get away from that when you're a local official. You got to be able to justify the decisions you're making or not making.
Yeah, which is a lot of pressure, but also what an incredible privilege for us, right, as people in Shenandoah County, that who we are and what's important to us as residents of Shenandoah County, of residents of this area, to say, I want my government to look like us, right? Like what's important to me should be important to the 6 people that sit there in Woodstock and make these decisions. And that's the power that we have, or I may have as an elected official, and you have as an elected official, to make our government look like the people of Shenandoah County, which is incredibly important, right? Like, we're a very unique place with unique people.
Right.
And it's an incredible privilege to make our government look like us.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah. Now, I tell you, the main reason I ask you to be here, and quite frankly, it's the reason I ask all of the school board candidates to be here. There's been a lot of dialogue, mainly in the not social media, but the national media and the state media, regarding school resource officer programs. And as I've explained on other podcasts, the way this process started here, if you remember, we had the thing that happened in the school shooting in Sandy Hook in the northeastern part of the country. And that very week, we had an incident here in Shenandoah County, and we had SROs, school resource officers at the time, but we didn't have them at every school. But that very week, we had an incident inside of Shenandoah County to basically paralyze the school system. I mean, they shut schools down early, and everybody went home early for the Christmas break. And then the superintendent at the time, a guy by the name of Keith Rowland, Dr. Rowland, he and I had a very good relationship. And quite frankly, I think I've had a good relationship with all of the school superintendents that I've worked with over the last 20 years. And we thought, well, maybe what we need to do is go out here, talk to the public, and see what it is they want in their school system regarding school safety. So we had these public forums. We had one in the north, one in the middle, one in the south. And quite frankly, aside from the Second Amendment public forum that they had about a year and a half ago, those 3 school safety forums were the most attended that I've ever seen. And there were 2 things that came out of that. The first came out was controlling access. And the second thing that came out was increased law enforcement presence. And so that's when the idea came to go ahead and increase the level of services that we provide from a school resource officer standpoint. So we had a school board that we worked with at the time, and they were good to work with. We had a board of supervisors that was helpful with this, and of course Dr. Rowland and myself, and we kind of, as you talked about, this is what the people said that they wanted, so we basically put that plan into place, and that's how we have the system that we have now. And as far as the school access, some of that is physical plant stuff, redesigning of entrances and things like that. And I know the school system, to my understanding, they've done quite a bit of work on that and improvements to that, procedures and that kind of thing. So those were the 2 biggest things that we came out with from that particular incident, and I think it's been very successful. And I guess the main question is where are you at with our school resource officer program? I mean, are you supportive of it, or that's kind of where my main question is?
Absolutely. And we've had some offline discussions before about, you are the expert. You're the head of law enforcement for Shenandoah County. I am not involved in law enforcement, and I'm not a school teacher. My background is not in education.
Right.
I'm an engineer. So as a school board member, I have to lean on the expertise of principals, of school administration, and as our sheriff's department to say, hey, what do you think is the right way to protect our students, right? Our safety is incredibly important. And in speaking with you, the school resource officer program is not just how many incidents did we prevent in our schools. It is what relationship are we building between our law enforcement community and the students in the schools, which I think is a very admirable goal, and I think it's a good goal. You talked a little bit about the national climate around law enforcement. Has been very divisive and very negative. I think one of the advantages of being in a small community like Shenandoah County is that we don't have a divide between our people and our law enforcement as much as you may have in somewhere else. I come from a big family. I have family members that work here in the sheriff's department. I have family members that work in the town police forces. Right. I drink coffee down at the dairy with the old timers, and we have one of the guys that comes in and drinks coffee with us was a town of Woodstock police officer, right? So, right. Lots of small casual interactions between our people and our law enforcement, I think, improves the relationship, improves the trust, reinforces what's important, and I think the school resource officer program helps that start in the school, right? So, yes, it's about school safety. Yes, it's about preventing incidents in the school. But the value of the school resource officer program is more than just how many bad things did we stop. Right. I think from that standpoint, it's incredibly beneficial. I think as you as an elected officer and me as perhaps maybe an elected officer in the future, one of the things that we have to consider is what we're doing the best use of resources, best use of taxpayer dollars that we get from our constituents. And for the school resource officer, that's your call, right? As a sheriff. And I'm happy to support you if you say that our best use of our taxpayer dollars is putting resource officers in the schools to protect our children, build relationships, and I'm happy to support you if that's the right call, right?
Right, and I'll tell you, when you talk about building relationships, I can't. It's hard to put a price tag on school safety, and it's hard. It's even more difficult to put a price tag on what could have happened or what was prevented. I mean, I know the relationships that we have with kids now, and over the last several years, has been invaluable to school safety, and I think to other aspects of those children's development as well. But I can't say enough about the work and the effort that the school resource officers put into that particular aspect of their job. I mean, they're there to protect a facility from, a bad person. They're there to protect the people working and studying and going to school from bad people. But they're also there to provide a resource and to help in the development of those kids. And I think they do a good job at that. I can't say enough about the school administrations that we work with, the principals and the teachers also. I just think right now we have a really good program here in Shenandoah County, and to be honest with you, it's not it's one of those things that when I've talked to you guys, the candidates, I think everyone thinks that it's important for kids to be safe and to have an environment where they can learn and not have to worry about their safety and things like that. And right now we're doing that, and I'm glad to see that it's going to continue to happen because all of the people that I've spoken to have been very supportive of that. So I guess really anything other than school safety that you want to talk about while you're here, that you want to bring up. I mean, that's my big question. But I'll be honest. As I've talked to you or other candidates, and it's not my place to, what's important to the voters is what's important to the voters. But I wanted to just make sure that we nail down school safety, and I think that's important to voters. I think it's important to the candidates. But I guess before we check out today, if there was anything else you wanted to talk about, you're more than welcome to bring it up.
I don't have any big issues to bring up. I would just like to say that how excited I am to be here with you, and I'm glad to hear you talk about the relationship that the sheriff's department has with the school board. I think, again, I love Shenandoah County. I love a small, tight-knit community. We have had issues in the past between school board and board of supervisors. I'm glad to hear that historically the relationship between the school board and the sheriff's department has been good. But as neighbors and hopefully as friends, the ability to sit down and talk, and even about conversations that are hard, a respectful conversation around people that you see all of the time, I think is incredibly beneficial for us. And I'm glad to be here, and hopefully we can continue this as a very productive relationship between the legislative and executive branches of Shenandoah County.
Right. Well, and I tell you, again, I go back to where we started off in the conversation. I think it's critical that people know who the candidates for these local offices are. I think it's critical that people get engaged in those races because it does affect their lives personally. And, we do try here to, we've actually, quite frankly, we try to periodically give the school board and board of supervisors updates on, whatever is happening at the time, but just the normal yearly updates. We've been putting this off this year simply because we've got 3 open seats, and we know we're going to have 3 new members on the school board. So once all the dust settles from that, the plan is to go in with the new school board and to sit down and just kind of go over here's what's happening in our world. Here's how we think it's affecting you all. And at this point, to be honest with you, I can't say enough about the past school boards that we've had, past administrators that we've had. I get it. There's, people from time to time, as you mentioned, there's some contentious things that come up, but we try to stay focused on school safety. That's where we try to keep the focus here. and I've been really pleased with what we've gotten from the school boards and the leadership of the school system as far as that goes. So again, I want to thank you for spending a few minutes of your time here, and we wish you well. And I know it's gonna, it's about 3 weeks, and then all this will be
November 2nd. Yeah.
So well, anyway, again, thanks again so much for coming in today. And this has been Sheriff Carter and William French, the District 5 candidate for school board. Thank you all for listening to me here today. You can find this and other content on all of our social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can find all of our podcasts on my YouTube channel. That's at Sheriff Tim Carter. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe so you can get all of our great content. And please don't forget to smash that like button. Yes, this is Shenandoah County Sheriff Tim Carter, and have a great day.